Jenna Ortega and Netflix have a real hit on their hands with Wednesday. We've all known that for a while now. The thing has been a cultural phenomenon, but that's really not the end of the story. And we need to examine what the ramifications are for the streaming industry as well as Netflix. Into that in just a moment. Uh, Let me tell you, though, first, we're going to be going through a timeline today. So hang with as we venture back, starting all the way back in December 16th. But if you love Wednesday, if you love Jenna Ortega, if you love watching something take off on streaming and what it will mean, you're going to want to watch this video. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe buttons, and follow me on Twitter if you would like. Let's get straight into this. This one came out December 16th by Peter White over on Deadline, called With Wednesday, Paradigm Shift Puts Amazon Behind One of Netflix's Biggest Hits as Renewal Talks Begin. Remember, there's a reason for going back this far. We're going to move rapidly. We're going to go through several articles to prove the point that I've got, which is, ladies and gentlemen, that Wednesday has truly saved Netflix and is shifting the industry as we speak. Let's dive in. Who had Amazon supplying one of Netflix's biggest original series on their 2022 bingo card? This starts off with, and don't forget that Netflix had a tremendously bad 2022 with Wall Street, right? Remember that their stock value dropped by it was awful. In fact, the stock value, per share, Netflix at one point was at 645. No, I'm sorry. It was at 690 and dropped all the way down to about 180. So that is a massive shift. And it did that from, I think the high was at the end of October in 2021, and then came crashing down sometime in June of this year, had fallen that massive percentage. And so, yes, going back into December, it is quite the thing that Amazon supplied Netflix with one of its biggest series, essentially giving this platform yet another mega hit that is part of unburying itself from the situation that it's been in. You'll recall that Netflix has had 3 series which have helped it do that. The first was immediately following or immediately during this Wall Street crash for the platform, for the company, which is solely dependent on streaming. It's different than Disney and some other companies in that streaming is its thing, right? It doesn't have the diverse portfolio of some of these other giant corporations. When you see that Disney stock drops and Netflix stock drops, it's not the same thing. Disney has a plethora of revenue means by which it can profit and by which it can grow and evolve. Netflix is really locked into streaming. But there have been 3 series that did this. So that was Stranger Things that began to pull Netflix and give some hope to everybody who was supporting the platform. Then you had the Dahmer series, which I'm not a fan of, but nevertheless, people were jumping on board that like crazy. But then all of this has been surpassed by Wednesday. Let's continue on. We'll skip a few lines here. The Jenna Ortega fronted show crossed the 1 billion hours viewed mark, only the 3rd show to do that in less than a month, and overtook Dahmer to become the 2nd most watched U.S. show behind season 4 of Stranger Things. Note here that it would go on to overtake Stranger Things. A renewal is thought to be inevitable, although sources expect that will come in the new year rather than before the end of the year. Producers starting to talk to writers about joining the 2nd season's writer's room and mulling season 2 locations, yada, yada, yada. Later on, what we would get is that there become a little bit of a tassel, a little bit of a tussle going on online with media outlets reporting that due to the way that this show was produced with the funding coming from Amazon, that there was a bit of drama about whether or not Netflix would get to keep Wednesday for a 2nd season. Let me say that there is very little doubt whatsoever that it will indeed keep Wednesday, because it is vital that it do so. Now, let's go further into the closer to the present, and let's take a look at how things are shifting and how this is affecting the industry. We're moving now to a Yahoo article that came out January 4th. No, we are moving closer and closer and closer. In fact, we're so close that it's just right past us, right behind. And this one just came out. Actually, it's not Yahoo. Yahoo does this thing where they pull articles from other sources. I don't care for the way they do this, but it's all legitimate. But it comes from originally from the magazine 17. Now, who would have thought that WDW Pro would be reporting out of 17? But here we are. This one by Samantha Olson. So Wednesday might not be leaving Netflix after all. Well, who would have thunk it? When all of your chips are riding on this thing because it is now your biggest show, it is a cultural phenomenon. And we're going to get to how big in a minute because this is going to explain the way the industry is working right now. But when it's this big, yeah, it's not leaving because the damage it would do if it left Netflix is tremendous. Let's read this. After its record-breaking success on Netflix, it was rumored that Wednesday may not return to the streaming platform for a second season. As we get into this, ladies and gentlemen, remember, what was the date that we came from on the last article that sort of was setting this all up? The rumor mill had already begun in December. And so there was all this drama being sort of prepared so that we would have all this discussion about it. Okay, now we're getting into January. Now we're here, right? We're close to the present tense. After its record-breaking success on Netflix, it was rumored that Wednesday may not return to the streaming platform. The Addams Family spinoff dethroned Stranger Things as the top series in the streamer's history, and according to Netflix's top 10 database, took the number one spot for the week of November 21st through the 27th with 341.23 million hours viewed. It's going to get better. Keep hanging in there. And also, let's pause there because it's going to get tricky. 341 million hours viewed. Later on in the video, we're going to talk about Nielsen ratings, which are going to be measured in minutes viewed. Hang in there. Jenna Ortega's breakout role as the iconic Addams Family character solidified her title as Gen Z's Scream Queen. And let's just stop there as well. That's not portraying this as accurately as it should. Jenna Ortega is the biggest star of her generation, and she will be a star for decades to come, lest something were to happen, which we do not wish for there to be. We hope that she has all the success in the world. She is primed to be the biggest star for at least the next decade based on this show and based on how well it's doing and how well she is doing on social media. Everywhere you look, TikTok, YouTube, etc., you're going to see her doing the dance. You're going to see her in character. You're going to see her behind the scenes. She has become an absolute star in the old-fashioned sense of the Hollywood celebrity. So kudos to her. The fan favorite series has yet to be officially greenlit for a second season. And on January 3rd, The Independent reported that its fate of returning to Netflix was up in the air, continuing on in that same drama that the media was doing, remember, because its production company, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, inked a major deal with another streaming service, okay? Now, here's the entire deal, right? Netflix, look at the bottom paragraph. Netflix, Amazon, and MGM have yet to confirm whether Wednesday will make its way to another streamer. Let me say again. It will not go to another streamer because Netflix needs this show. Now, let's get into just what this show is to Netflix, and we're going to talk about the entire streaming industry. Again, hang in there. You're hanging with me, right? Because we started out a month ago reading an article in order to catch everybody up. We're going to keep going now, and I need you all to see this because this is just, this is bonkers to me. Here we go. All right. This is wild. This is really something. Okay. So for the week of November 28th through December 4th, when Wednesday had its 8 episodes in, this number is insane. This number is just insane. And let me say this too. It's insane because this number is 5 million, okay? No, I'm sorry, 5 billion. Let me say it again. 5,326 minutes watched in that week. But these are the kinds of numbers it had been doing. This is sustained. Everybody pay attention to that. Sustained, okay? It's been pulling these kinds of huge numbers. We're talking about doing Stranger Things numbers over and over and over. Okay, now pay attention to this. Pay attention to the list. I saw this come out earlier today, by another writer on That Park Place, and it just blew me away. What is Wednesday doing versus all the other items on here? And I also want you to pay attention. We're on Nielsen. We're looking at streaming overall. Overall, okay? This is taking out all of the subcategories. This is just overall. What are all 10 of the providers? These are all Netflix shows. All of them. Every single one in the top 10. You want to know why Netflix stock is starting to tick up again? All 10. All 10. Netflix is going to have to figure out their advertising revenue, their advertising subscription plan. They got to get it figured out. You see Disney Plus up here? No. You see HBO Max up here? No. It's all Netflix. They're doing something very right. But again, let's look at what Wednesday is doing against its own competition on Netflix. It is quintupling the closest competitor it has. We don't even use that word enough for people to understand it, okay? It's not doubling, it's not tripling, it's not quadrupling, it's quintupling the closest competitor, and the closest competitor is no scrub. Firefly Lane almost crossed the billion minutes watched mark itself. Okay. WDW Pro is a Wednesday fan, right? No. This is not aimed at me. This is not my cup of tea. But you need to understand the level of success this thing has and that it is transforming the industry because it is pulling Netflix way out of where it once was. Okay. Let's take a look at another means by which to recognize just the level that Wednesday is performing. If we go to the subcategory original, these are original series only. We do get 2 other platforms that actually make their way into this spot. On Prime Video, we get The Peripheral at 394 million minutes watched. Disney Plus gets 1 spot on here, and we need to talk about this for a minute. Because Disney Plus gets The Santa Clauses, the Tim Allen thing, okay? And that's a series that was greenlit almost immediately for a second season. It's performing well enough for Disney Plus that they immediately said, we got to have a second season of this. 349 million minutes watched for the Santa Clauses versus 5 billion 326 million minutes watched for Wednesday. Which of these is a cultural phenomenon and which is not? I'm not trying to disparage Tim Allen. I'm not trying to disparage the Santa Clauses. But these are not in the same realm of existence. None of these shows, but that's the best for Disney Plus, but none of these shows are in the same realm of existence, the same realm of impact as Wednesday. For whatever reason. Okay. Hold on to that. And now we're going to get to the twist, okay? This is what you've been waiting for. Twist where I'm going to explain why all of this matters. All right. Let me switch on over now. We're going to go to Forbes. I'm going to pull it up. And let's see. Right here. All right. Let's check this out. This one comes from Paul Tassi, senior contributor. We've read some stuff from him before. Usually agree, sometimes don't. Over at Forbes. Wednesday dethroned in Netflix's top 10 list for the 3rd time by a new show. Well, how can that be? Well, this comes also from January 4th. So we're past the point where the ratings have apex and they should be coming down. But that's not the thing that you need to pay close or very close attention to. Let's read the article, and then I'm going to get into why Wednesday is reshaping the streaming industry. Here we go. And it's not explicitly said in this article. All of this has to tie together for you to get it. After nearly 6 weeks of dipping in and out of the #1 spot on Netflix as the year's second most watched series on the service, Wednesday has been dethroned for a 3rd time by a brand new series. Okay. This is what I want you to key in on. Everybody paying attention now? It's like we're at a college class. You're in the class with me. I want you to pay attention to this because none of this is explicitly told to you. You've got to figure out how to read between the lines to get this. Pay attention here again. Let's do it one more time. Wednesday has been dethroned for a third time by a brand new series. By a brand new series. Go back. What were the ratings for Wednesday out of Nielsen? 5 billion plus minutes per week. Okay. Unheard of. That's insane. How's it getting dethroned? Think about it now. How's it getting dethroned by a brand new series? Hang in there. And this time, I really do mean brand new, a totally new show that is not a returning mega hit series with a new season, the way we've seen from Emily in Paris, nor is it some much anticipated debut. Right. Like Meghan and Harry, give me a break. Or The Witcher, Blood Origin. Yeah, that had tons of great buzz going around the internet. Okay. So what Paul is telling us here, pay close attention. What Paul is telling us is that Wednesday, which has these ratings that are out of this world, unbelievably good, record-breaking good, quintupling the closest competition, that it's dipping in and out of the number one spot, but it's dipping in and out with brand new series that are not of, let's say, the most well-known, most anticipated, biggest buzz series out there. In fact, it got knocked off supposedly by Kaleidoscope, a limited series, meaning it's only supposed to run for this one season. Unless, of course, it's stupidly popular and then maybe they change their minds and make more. Let me share with you what's going on. What is happening here is that Wednesday is so phenomenally popular. When we're talking about 5 billion minutes watched per week, when we're talking about 5 times greater than its next competition, Wednesday is signal boosting everything else on Netflix. And Netflix is entirely dependent on its streaming service being successful in a way that these other companies we're discussing are not. Jeff Bezos can lose Amazon Prime Video ratings, and he doesn't care. He will still be trying to be as rich as Elon Musk the next day. Nothing will change. He still has all of Amazon to float him in his endeavors. But Netflix has Netflix. Disney Plus, should it do poorly, would be horrible for the Walt Disney Company, but they still have the theme parks, they still have movies, they still have the cruise lines. Netflix has Netflix. Wednesday is pulling in these sorts of ratings, and it's being beaten by different upstart shows that you aren't paying close attention to. What does that mean? It means the show is so popular that people are sticking around and watching the other shows on Netflix, or they're beginning to be introduced to those shows on Netflix through Wednesday, which then gives them these different shows we're talking about. It gives them pops. It gives them rating boosts that let them get that top spot before they sink back down a little bit, because Wednesday, the baseline popularity is ridiculously high. And that means it's a huge paradigm shifting win for Netflix. That's what it means. And what it means is that when Netflix is having these kinds of ratings out of its top shows, and when it's going into a subscription-based system, and when it's defeating the other competitors like Disney Plus to this degree, that you are therefore going to begin seeing Netflix dig itself out of the situation it's been in 2022. I saw recently someone arguing that the crash of Netflix stock was the biggest story of 2022. I don't agree with that at all. And I don't agree with it because of this, because it's on the way back up. Do you see that? And it's going to continue doing that if these ratings hold, because now more than ever before, the ratings matter. The subscriptions matter because the advertising revenue is coming directly off of your ratings, rather than you putting out a streaming service which has a flat fee and it doesn't matter what people watch because they're paying the flat fee anyway. That was the old system. Now with these subscription models coming in, the ratings actually truly matter. There's Wednesday quintupling anything even remotely close. It would be it's comparing stuff like the Santa Clauses, which again, no disparagement here, but comparing it to Wednesday or comparing anything like that to Wednesday is like comparing a movie that comes out at box office and makes 20 million versus a movie that comes out and makes 100 million. They're not in the same ballpark. They're not up for similar discussion at all. Period. None. Now, one last thing before we stop, okay? Look at what Netflix has been doing, slowly climbing back up again. Let's remember that there was a giant PR war going on between the Walt Disney Company and Netflix back in June, but almost nobody covered this. You know who did? Valiant Renegade. Go check out his channel, but Valiant Renegade covered this. What happened was that Netflix aired Stranger Things head to head with the Walt Disney Company, going head to head with them with the Kenobi series. And Disney chose to do that. And both of the platforms went head to head, and they did so, both doing things to try to game the ratings system to try to convince all of their potential advertisers to pay more and more for advertising because of the ceiling potentials for subscribers and engagement. And Netflix cleaned Disney's clock with Stranger Things. And ever since, what's been happening? That fall they had, ever since, it's been climbing. It's been climbing since June. It's steadily going back up again. Do not count out Netflix. And if they continue to have shows like Wednesday, this entire streaming idea that we had months ago, or other people had, that streaming was going the way of the dodo in terms of the prior plan, the prior system, and the prior valuation of how successful this could be. If Netflix continues to produce shows like Wednesday, the sky is the limit, just like it is for Jenna Ortega, just like it is for everybody involved in this show. And these other streaming platforms had better get a handle on it. They better get a handle on it because this thing's going nowhere. It's staying with Netflix, and Netflix now has proven 3 times this year that they know how to put out a show that will transform and enrapture the culture. Stranger Things was a cultural phenomenon. Dahmer, somewhat so, but great ratings. Now Wednesday. Wednesday's as big or bigger culturally, societally, as Stranger Things. And that's really saying something. So, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, all the rest of you, if you want to get into this discussion, if you want us to start having a talk about you in the same way, you're going to have to do these kinds of ratings. For people who are out there saying, oh, Star Wars is a huge, massive franchise still today. No. You don't have these kinds of ratings. You want to see the world transformed, the culture transformed? You want to see people talking about something nonstop? Get Wednesday ratings. Get Stranger Things ratings. You want to talk about She-Hulk being successful? We had a talk about a guy who came back the other night on Twitter and was posting all about how She-Hulk was true to his material. I don't even care. I don't even care. You know why? Because She-Hulk has ratings that are like a 10th, a 15th, a 20th of Wednesday. You got to get in that ballpark if you want the kind of discussion that is happening for this show. So that's the thing. Netflix is knocking it out of the park, and you better be watching. I'm not making any kind of investing advice to anybody, but you better be watching Netflix because they're onto something. We'll talk more about what that is later on. But for now, just know, if you take anything away from this video, just know that you had to read between the lines to figure out what Wednesday is doing. And that is, it's signal boosting everything else on Netflix. And that means it is a tide raising all boats. It is boosting everything else. And that is a winning strategy for Netflix. All right. You can follow me on Twitter at WDWPro1. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You Wednesday fans out there, I hope you like this. I hope you stuck with me. This is the financial, this is the corporate side of it, of what's going on back there. It is a mega hit. So Share this out. And ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing you need to do, keep having fun.